You know, in the very early days of Islam, there was one man whose conviction was so legendary, it basically became the gold standard for courage. So today, let's dive into the incredible story of Al-Miqdad ibn Amr. Just imagine hearing that said about you. The Prophet Muhammad himself is reported to have said that paradise literally longs for Al-Miqdad. So who was this guy to earn that kind of unbelievable praise? What made him so special? What's so fascinating about Al-Miqdad is that his story doesn't kick off from some position of power or privilege. Nope, it starts with him as a fugitive, an outsider, just looking for a safe place to land in Mecca. I mean, his life was pretty turbulent right from the get-go. He was born in what's now Yemen, and he was the son of a fugitive himself. Then, as a young man, Al-Miqdad gets into a dispute, injures someone, and he has to flee to Mecca. And here's the crazy part. He's taken in by this powerful man named Al-Aswad, who would end up being a fierce enemy of the Prophet. So, despite living under the roof of an opponent, Al-Miqdad secretly becomes the seventh person to convert to Islam. So how in the world does he join the other Muslims who've already migrated to Medina? He couldn't just up and leave. His protector, Al-Aswad, would have seen that as a huge betrayal. So he cooks up this brilliant plan. The Meccans are sending out a caravan with armed guards. Al-Miqdad volunteers to be one of them, pretending he's there to defend Mecca's interests. But once they're on their way, bam! He just defects to the Muslim side. A really clever, really daring escape to join his new community. And that kind of determination, that grit, it really defined him, especially on the battlefield. And you can't see this any clearer than at the pivotal Battle of Badr, where the small Muslim community was facing a threat to its very existence. To really get what was at stake at the Battle of Badr, you only need to know one number: 1. That's it. That's how many horses the entire Muslim army of over 300 men had. And that single horse, it belonged to Al-Miqdad, which is how he got the title the First Horseman of Islam. It just perfectly illustrates how dire their situation was, outnumbered 3-1, with basically zero cavalry. So in this incredibly tense moment, with a lot of people probably feeling defeated before the fight even started, Al-Miqdad steps up. He brings up a famous story. When the people of Moses were told to fight, they kind of wavered, saying, "You and your Lord go fight. We're just going to sit right here." But Al-Miqdad, he declares to the Prophet, "We will not say that. We will fight with you." It was just this pure declaration of courage that totally electrified the entire army. And wow, the effect was just profound. A fellow companion, Ibn Masud, later said he would have traded the entire universe just for the honor of being in Al-Miqdad's shoes at that moment. The Prophet's face was said to just glow with happiness. So the key takeaway here is his words didn't just boost morale. They cemented his place as a leader of unshakable faith. But see, Al-Miqdad wasn't just a warrior, not by a long shot. He was also a really close student of the Prophet, who personally helped shape and refine his character, taking him way beyond the battlefield. One powerful lesson actually came through marriage. So Al-Miqdad, since he came from a tribe that was considered lower class, proposed to the daughter of a high-status companion. Well, he was angrily rejected purely because of his background. When the Prophet heard this, he didn't just scold the other guy. He set an undeniable example. He personally arranged for Al-Miqdad to marry his own high-status cousin. What a direct, practical lesson against the deep-seated classism of that time. The Prophet also really worked on tempering Al-Miqdad's warrior nature. In one case, he taught him that even if an enemy repents and accepts Islam, you have to forgive him. And this wasn't just some abstract theory, right? Al-Miqdad later puts this exact lesson into practice, sparing a captive who then went on to become a great Muslim warrior himself. It was a powerful lesson in restraint and mercy. All right, so this brings us to the final and maybe the most defining chapter of his life. After the Prophet's passing, Al-Miqdad's legacy really became one of unwavering loyalty to his principles, even when it was incredibly difficult. So after the Prophet's death, the community entered a period of, let's say, political uncertainty. During the disputes over who should lead next, historical accounts say that only a handful of companions remained completely steadfast by the side of Ali ibn Abi Talib. That number? It was 4. Just 4. And Al-Miqdad was one of them, which is a huge testament to how principled and unwavering his stance was. And he wasn't quiet about his conviction either. He stood firmly with Ali during the succession disputes and would openly question the policies of the caliphs, the leaders who followed the prophet. There's this one famous incident. A poet was flattering the third caliph, Othman, and Al-Miqdad just throws dust on him, citing a teaching from the prophet against that kind of empty praise. His conviction held right to the very end. He even specified in his will that Othman should not be the one to lead his funeral prayer.
So, Al-Miqdad passed away in the year 33 after Hijrah. That's 33 years into the Islamic calendar, at the age of 70. He was buried in the historic Al-Baqi cemetery in Medina, leaving behind a powerful and incredibly principled legacy.
So when you look back at his whole life, from a fugitive to the first horseman, from a courageous warrior to a principled dissenter, what you see is a story of just unwavering conviction, often against immense social and political pressure. And that leaves us with a question to really think about. What does it truly mean to stand by your principles, no matter what it costs?